And that brings me to my next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is my solo queue strategy. I wanted to share my solo queue strategy in the preseason right now, where it sits and why. Maybe you guys can kind of derive some sort of your own game plan. And then I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna watch a Lethyrus game, and then I'm gonna go ahead into grinding. So what I wanted to do is talk real briefly about my solo queue strat. Let me load this up. So what this is basically, I'm gonna tell you guys kind of where I'm landing in the preseason, what I've learned in playing a lot. And this is obviously kind of region specific too, but I'm gonna make sure to note what you can kind of take from your regions or whatever, and what I'm seeing right now. So now that we've went over the patch impact, let's talk about each role. So let's talk about like what I'm doing and why, so you guys can kind of take a gander. So I initially put top as like a super high priority role. I still think it is, especially for 95% of you. So let's just go for you guys first. So in my opinion, it looks like this: top, jungle, mid, ADC, support. Okay. I'm going to give you guys some carry supports that I've seen in Korea that are undeniably strong, that are destroying. But generally speaking, yeah, this should be the order that the most of you guys will experience. Now for higher elo, so this would be like low elo, right? For high elo, and we'll just say high elo for the purposes of discussion today for you guys, which it could be regarded as like diamond, it could be regarded as diamond 1, it could be regarded as master. But for the purpose of discussion, because most of you guys that are higher elo are going to be just diamond at the most, we'll just say diamond and up, okay? And in that, it's jungle, top, mid. This one's debatable, but I would say still ADC and support. This is important to go over, okay? Because you need to understand why I'm putting it in this order. So right now, jungle is still crazy strong, okay? It's crazy strong, and I'm gonna explain why jungle is crazy strong. So jungle is strong because clear, or I should say, yeah, paths or pathing is completely new. What this means, for those who are wondering, I guess maybe I should put this on like WordPad. Hold on, instead of note. Or no, notepad, maybe. Yeah, I'll do notepad. So you guys can actually read the shit. So, jungle pathing is completely new. Okay? It's completely new. And what that means, why does that matter? Well, because ganks harder to stop, right? Clearing is easier than before, right? Lots of carries, or lots of carry potential, lots of power farming potential. So basically, in my opinion, jungle is a lot stronger than it used to be. A lot stronger than it used to be. So if you really want to win, jungle was already strong. The junglers were worried that the role would be weaker, but I disagree. I think the role became a lot stronger because laners, and I experienced this in my games, laners don't know what to expect, right? Now you're getting 3 camped and it works because the guy doesn't get punished after, like, at all. You've got you've basically got a lot of ways to carry and a lot of approaches that you can take, and you don't have to interact. You don't have to interact with laners, right? So laning is harder, jungling is easier, right? Laning is harder because junglers just come out of Narnia now. All sorts of types of junglers, all sorts of types of ganks just pop out of the fucking clouds. They didn't before, right? And so that's inherently just strong. Like, there's just no denying that, like, even if you think that jungle is like a tactical strategy or whatever the fuck, the thing that separates it is whether or not you can farm or you can gank. And right now, both are easier. It's easier to farm than before, right? It's easier to gank than before. The only thing that's harder is like invading, but even invading can still work if you know where the enemy jungler is going to be on his camps, because the enemy jungler might be clearing camps by the time you invade, because it takes them longer to do stuff like red. I don't know if you guys saw me talking to Phalaris the other day, but a perfect example is me being scared shitless to start my red because it's going to take forever and I know the guy's going to invade me. So that's just something to think about. Now, the next role that's really, really strong in the order would be top, okay? So let's talk about top. I think this is a good way to present this. So let's talk about top. What we could say right here about top is, at the moment, you get more XP, right? So why would this be better in lower elo and the higher elo? Well, in lower elo, your more XP gets value because easier to solo kill baddies. So as you climb in the ranks, it becomes harder to solo kill. And the harder it is to solo kill people, the harder it is to make top valuable. And by make top valuable, I'm saying maybe you proxy the lane. Maybe you take plates. Maybe you take rift. Maybe you invade enemy jungler. You know, you can't really do that unless you get through the goalkeeper, so to speak, of top lane. So yes, you get more XP, but you're still a top laner, and you're not going to be able to do anything unless you get the other asshole out of your way. And considering that the other assholes are stuff like Darius, Set, Aatrox, and shit like that, it can oftentimes be very, very difficult to win. But if you win, it's a payday, right? Aatrox will absolutely decimate a fucking game if he gets a lead. Like, he will destroy a game right now if he gets a lead. Fiora will destroy a game right now if she gets a lead. Hell, even your dumbass, like, Alawi will destroy a game if she gets a lead, even in higher elo, if she manages to do it. I've seen it. So, yeah, top lane will absolutely crush a game if it's ahead, which is why it's number 2 on my list. You have to be able to impact, right? So you have to be able, after you solo kill, so you have to be able to, like, take up space and soak pressure and all that. But that's best suited for, you know, you want to play bruisers right now. So, like, Aatrox is just, like, god tier, in my opinion. Other examples for lower elos would be, like, an Alawi, right? Another example for Urgot is, like, another one. Stuff like this does really, really well. So, that's why top is the next up. Mid. So, let's talk about mid real quick. So, mid is valuable right now. Roamers are OP. The reason why is Ravenous. So, Ravenous is super, 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 super good in mid, because even in hard matchups, unless your opponent's really fucking good, you can just play for a Ravenous, and then you could just start, like, farming anything that your junglers leave up. Either jungler, right? So, you could just, like, basically buy Rav, shove, roam, eat camps. Like, you could just take, like, you just take things. I did it the other day. I just took, like, Fleet Tryndamere, right? And that's going to show up for me a lot. There's no reason to not bruiser mid either, because of this, right? There's not many mages that can really keep the bruisers in line, all right? But if you can play Victor, Cassiopeia, Ahri. Well, Ahri's kind of questionable. I'm trying to think who else. Maybe like Azir, I guess. Azir. That keeps the bruisers in check. I say this as a Tryndamere guy. Even Ahri can. But she's a little harder to get through the mid game. I don't recommend it. These guys here can do it, but I don't think most of y'all can do that. And I just don't think it's worth your... Syndra got nerfed. I don't think Syndra's going to be very good to keep the bruisers in check. But if you can play these three assholes, you can absolutely keep bruises in check and get to, basically, if you hit your farm, you keep them in check and you just get huge. Like, you just get crazy items and you can fight them. Maybe not Azir. Azir's gonna be harder, but in the early game is absolutely strong. So yeah, and then honorable mentions. I'm gonna say stuff like Zed, Singed, Talon, Katarina. Katarina is kind of weak after the nerfs, but I've still seen her in my games, but I don't want to recommend that. And I guess guys that keep those in line. So like I play Tryndamere. I can keep all these champs in line. Maybe not Singed, but the most of the assassins. You also have Aatrox again. You have like Garen for lower elos and stuff too. And then yeah, you could just say like Cass into mages. It's a free ride. So yeah, that's the you know, that's the big three right now. Now we just get into the other stuff. So ADC is interesting. ADC, to me, it looks like Neela's crazy good. Good 1v9 champion. Honest to God, I have no idea. Like, he's super underrated in low elos, and just really, really strong. Same, duo strats are still OP. So your Samira plus X, those are still good. Then personally, I still value Ezreal. I think Ezreal's really good. Mainly because I see him played here and he does really, really well here. He's got flexible builds. He can build to wave clear. He can build to survive. He can play with any support. Like, I still think Ezreal's super high value, but obviously does not supersede these other types of picks. Then let me see. Let me get some reference points here because I haven't actually played a lot of ADC. I'm only speaking purely from playing as support because I never get ADC. I literally get filled to everything else. I don't think I've gotten a single ADC game. It's so popular here. Not that I care. I don't like playing it, so I'm not mad. Let's see. Tier list. Let's go to bot lane real fast. And let's take a gander at some of these. We're gonna take, like I said, we're gonna take like actual high skill people. Now, let's talk about this, because every time Jhin shows up on this list, people like go to the moon because they really like Jhin. Don't get it confused. Jhin is not good. This is why there's a little diamond icon. He's all right. But I consider him like a utility coin flip, okay? Something like Twitch, I will give the nod. It's a very, very good pick. Can actually like carry like 1v9. Let's see. Ezreal, you can see he wins and he's got a large delta and he's picked a shit ton. Super good pick and very, very safe. And he himself can peel himself pretty reliably. I will give credit to Jhin players here though. They do kite a lot better here. So it's a little bit more memorable, but I still don't love him. And I don't love him for y'all because a lot of people play Jhin. Got him on the wrong. I gotta stop using Chrome for this. All these ads in my face. A lot of you guys play Jhin because he counts to 4 and like skill shots, you know. That's basically why y'all play him, and I just don't like it. I think he's perfect for bad players. Let's see. Like I said, Samir is doing really, really well, even in higher elos. Kais is doing okay in higher elos. He's got a pretty good result. There's the Neela, super underrated still. Lower elos. She's very good. Higher elos, maybe not so much, especially here in Korea. Maybe because of her range. But she's very, very good in lower elos. I think if I had to recommend stuff to you guys, though, I would certainly take a peek at. Oh, and Varus. I'm skipping over Varus. Varus is an interesting character because he's kind of like Jhin, except he actually does a shit ton of damage late game. Like he actually gets really good value late game. And he plays pretty well into tanks also. But yes, I do have to concede that the data of Jhin is pretty good. Like the Jhin data is pretty solid. And maybe it's just one of those things where, the, you know, because you're not getting a ton of XP, Maybe it's just one of those things where when you play Jhin, since you're not getting a ton of XP anyways, all the utility that you bring to the table, right? You bring a ton of utility to the table in the mid to late game, since it's not going to be about you most of the time anyways, I guess. But I'm still a firm believer that you need to learn how to take up some space. And both Jhin and Varus can't really do that. Twitch can take up space, right? Ezreal can take up space. Samira can take up space. Even Kai'Sa can take up space. But when you... Tristana for sure can take up space. But when you drill down into it, Neela, when you drill down into it, like, champions like Jhin and Varus can't move. And that's always a problem in solo queue. I hope you guys understand. Like, just because you'd be winning a little bit more does not necessarily mean that you're having much positional impact on the game. You're just kind of like flipping and chilling, in my opinion. Okay. That's gonna be my take. I'd say like Kai'Sa's a decent look. I already said Samira's a decent look. Jhin, Varus, flippy but good, I guess. And yeah, I think that's a pretty good start point. Now let's move on to support. This one has been kind of interesting to me. So this guy is crazy, and it's not just a gimmick, dude. Like, there's a reason that it was in Worlds. This guy is nuts. He's absolutely insane. I'm so tempted to start playing him occasionally when I'm put on support and my team needs damage. This shit, I have no idea how to play it because I don't play Heimerdinger. But it's the amount of shit that this is doing in a game from where I sit, like just like assessing game states and stuff and just being like, oh, there's a Heimerdinger on the enemy team. It is fucking with my head, dude. It's like you can't do anything versus this guy. Hook champions, he blocks his fucking hook. And the dude rushes Barons, blocks hooks, counters dives, out DPS's mid. He's out of... This guy is broken. He's like unstoppable. Now, I don't even play him, but every time I see him, I'm pissed off that he's on the other team. He's just undeniably good. Undeniably good. So definitely worth a peek. And yes, he could be played in top as well. I can't beat this fucking guy. I was playing Hecarim the other day, and the enemy team had a Heimerdinger, and anytime I went into the fucking team, even if I jumped right in and ran straight out, it was like, you were probably dead. And that's just facts. What I'm using is Bard. Big fan of Bard. Lots of utility. Good with Radiant. Solid pick. Like, he's just solid overall. I really enjoyed this pick a lot in my games. I spent time learning stuff like messing around with Soraka, messing around with Karma. Karma's another option as well for supports. He's good tempo. If you know how to play her, she's very, very powerful. Lulu, I don't play Lulu, but very, very strong still. And then I'm going to recommend Nautilus as somebody who's faced a lot of Nautiluses. He's very, very solid. And then lastly, Maokai. You just saw he got buffed. I guess I don't want to skip out of Mumu. So I'll just say we'll put Nautilus and a Mumu in the same bracket. And Leona, I guess. And like Maokai is really good because of the buffs. But overall, like, you play some stuff like this, you're gonna be pretty happy, I would say, in support. There's other stuff out there. You know, there's like your high damage, like your Zyra, your fucking Brand, your Vel'Koz, but it's unreliable. So just unreliable picks, in my opinion. Just because of how I think what it boils down to, if I'm being honest, is they don't have a lot of mobility in any case, in any shape or form. And they're not safe when they go in. Like, Leona's like super safe. I mean, sometimes she dies when she goes in. Same with the Mumu. Sometimes they die when they go in, but they put a lot of pressure on these types of champs. So it's like they just cancel. A Mumu Leo just cancels these out. So I know this was a big stream of consciousness brain dump, but that's kind of like my rundown of the different roles and where they stand right now. Now, for my personal NEACE strat, I'm going to tell you guys basically where my head's at and what I'm doing. So for mid, I am basically just going Trin, Karma, what was it? Silas, maybe Yone sometimes as like a curveball, and probably Kassadin as like an answer to certain picks. There might be some like curves in here sometimes, but realistically, this is what I'm looking at when I'm playing mid. Oh, I guess I should be clear. I'm queuing jungle first because I'd rather just climb from jungle right now. Right now, I would rather learn the role. I have a lot of time here. I'd rather play against. I'd rather play on this role and block it from bad junglers. And I also just feel like I learn more playing it at the moment because there's a lot of carry potential in the role. But my picks in mid just reflect like I want solid picks that have good carry potential. I don't really play roamers. So I guess you could kind of count Tryndamere and Karma as roamers. But yeah, like these guys, they can't really roam. Kassadin can roam at 6, but that's about it. I've thrown in like a curveball TF sometimes, but every time I do it, I like either misplay or like the mechanical requirements are really hard because it's not so much that TF's mechanics are hard. It's that every time I bring him out, I run into a bunch of like crazy dashes, gap closes, and bullshit, and I'm just depressed that I picked it. You know, I feel like I would be better off legitimately just playing like Sejuani mid or like fucking Maokai mid than TF sometimes with the way that these new champions function. It's very, very hard to actually like feel good about it when you scale. You're not even scaling that well, you know. It's not like, oh, I picked TF and eventually I'm gonna be. It's like, no, dude, like you're always just gonna have to relinquish side lanes to people and run away from everything, and it's just not great. But yeah, so jungle, I'm looking at Hecarim a lot. I'm looking at Nidalee a lot. I'm looking at Maokai a lot. Other carries. I haven't messed with Elise, but that might come out soon, depending. I'm trying to think of what else I've ran in the jungle. Nocturne is obviously a possibility. But I've brought Nidalee back because I feel like it's just tempo play. Silas can be a jungler too, but I just can't imagine he's going to hold up much longer. He's winning a lot in a lot of elos. I feel like they're going to target his jungling eventually somehow, or his mid even. That's why I'm like a little hesitant to get too obsessed with him, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna always have him as an option. But yeah, I haven't been playing him that much in the jungle because it does feel a little cheesy. But maybe I'm just terrible at him. I mean, really. He's a bit of a gimmicky guy, which gimmicks are good in jungle right now still. But oh, I guess I should talk specifics about jungle strategy in Korea. Expect cheese. Be there or lose is a good way to view it. Mid is, there's not much strategy to mid right now other than like hit your farm and don't die. That seems to be the way to play mid. Hit your farm. Yeah, it's like hit your farm, don't die. Watch jungle. make sure your jungler, like if he invades, you're ready for it. You've managed the waves appropriately. Right. Top. Let's talk about top real quick. So Fiora is really good. Aatrox is really good. I don't play it. I shouldn't write it down. Fiora. So for me, it's gonna be just Fiora, Tryndamere, Gangplank, maybe Karma, maybe Silas. Like basically in top lane, it just boils down to can you beat your laner or can you have a global? All these picks actually beat most laners. And then Silas, you could just pick Silas into globals. Like if guy picks Shen, you pick Silas. Dude picks GP, you could pick Silas and just sit there and just stare at him. That's normally pretty good value in my experience. Malphite, guy picks Malphite, you can pick Silas. Guy picks Ornn, you can pick Silas. Guy picks like Maokai, you can pick Silas. Like any of this shit. Globals, you can just pick Silas. Pantheon, pick Silas. Pick Silas, don't int, you're Silas. Great, you have it too. Right? There's a pretty good argument for Gangplank in this meta right now. But you have to understand that you still can't leave tower. You're still GP, and that could be tough to leave tower after early game. And then I'm not playing ADC at all on this climb because I just never get it, so it's not even worth worrying about. But I guess I could just write like a note, Ezreal, like I guess. So I mean, that's all I'm just gonna do anytime I get ADC if I don't dodge. And then support, I'm just thinking Bard. I'm gonna probably start looking at Heimerdinger if I can't get Bard for some reason, and then Karma. But I'm pretty much always gonna get Bard because, again, I think Heimerdinger is probably gonna get nerfed. And then Karma is just my pick that I'm comfortable with now. So I'm always down to play it. And I guess the last note I will make, should dodge 1 game a day. This is a big one. If you're grinding all the time, you should try to get away from 1 bad matchup a day. Just a matchup that pisses you off. Don't think about it. Don't mull over it. Just dodge 1 a day, because it's going to tilt the shit out of you when that matchup that you knew that was going to go bad goes bad. Just dodge 1 a day. It's like an apple a day. Once per 12. Well, either way, yes, once per 12, but like I normally don't play beyond 12 a day. Okay, Sante's better after the buffs. So yeah, this is my entire solo queue strategy. This is my entire solo queue strategy right now, as it stands. Obviously, this is subject to change. I guess I should specify the Tryndamere mid thing. So Tryndamere is still kind of a work in progress to me in terms of what to build and what runes and what matchups work and which ones don't. But like, I'm very, very confident that Tryndamere is still fine. It's just a matter of making sure to not pick him in really bad times. But it's still pretty good. I would say it's pretty broken. But yeah, that's all I got for right now. You know, guys, let me know what you think. That will be on YouTube. And then, I mean, I've covered a lot today. You guys just want to play? I can look at a Lethyrus game next time. I'll actually have him send me some VODs or something.